Of course, you know, like fuck. Yeah.
Where are you from and how long have you been in Japan?
I'm originally from Australia. I came here 11 years ago for the first time. But my story, as you probably find out, is a little bit long and deep, I guess. You know, I go back and forth a lot. So I you know, travel outside of Japan to different countries to provide education and training nearly each month. And in a busy month like the other month, I did 8 countries in a month, and you know, sometimes it would just be 1. But I travel a lot, and that's why I would say, although I've been here for 11 years, or came here 11 years ago, I have probably spent about half of that time.
What's your favorite Japanese food?
My favorite Japanese food, shit. I'm allergic to seafood, so I guess if that's how you want to kill me, that'd be it's bad. You know, but I'm big on the whole yakitori and the yakiniku and all that sort of stuff. There's one across the road that's fucking amazing. So I take my guys there a lot after training. I think that's a really cool thing because it's a local sort of vibe. You know, me and the master over there get along really well. He's also a practicing Taoist and studying Buddhist as myself. I am also, and yeah, I like to hit sort of the more local spots. Can't string a fucking sentence together. So, but yeah, I'm more about the barbecue than the sushi. Oh, okay. Yeah. One recent one, I was in a seminar. I was teaching a seminar in Nagoya, at my Nagoya branch, and I wanted a legit massage. You know, you can bring up fucking, you know, happy ending massage if you wanted one, but I wanted a legit one. And I ordered one, and this old lady came in. I'm like, all right, whatever. She's probably experienced and strong, and she farted on me. That's pretty much the story. I was sitting there like, and she was like cracking my back and was like, good. I lost it. That was probably the funniest one. The other, I gotta say, I got another one that I'd probably like to share. That, you know, doesn't incriminate anybody. When I was working protection, I had a client that used to be very much into Fuzoku, you know, the whole red light district and stuff like that. And I had to follow him around, and foreigners, for the most part, are not allowed in those places, right? The pin salon, soap, all that sort of thing. And he wanted me to go with him. I'm like, well, fuck, why don't I just wait, you know, over at this place? But, you know, he was under threat for some time, and I had to go with him. So we had one of the other staff who was Japanese going with him and do an advance check to whatever degree they could, and I stood outside. Long story short, I'm standing outside of this brothel, right? Like this, fucking balls, when's this gonna be over, you know, like fuck. And this old guy comes out and he's like, like, oh fuck man, I'm not here to wait for some chick to come out and try and get in there myself. I've got a client in there and I just didn't even bother explaining it. So I kind of got like put in that situation where he thought I was really desperate as a foreigner trying to get into a brothel. And really it was my client in there, and I'm like, I'm not really bothered. I'm like, yep, sucks being a foreigner, doesn't it? So that was another random sort of thing. The other ones I was just talking about the other day. I got bashing domestic violence situation here in front of my channel, and long story short, this guy was slapping up his girl, and people were just walking past. You know, they don't want to be involved. You know what it's like here. You know, they're like, well, it's not my problem. I'm like, what the fuck? And I called out to him. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? And he just looked at me, just kept going. I'm like, oh fuck that. So I schooled him for lack of a better term. I gave him a little touch up, and at one point I thought he was going for a blade or something. That's what I was anticipating because the way he was moving like this. And I said, you know, just step back. And his hand disappeared. I said, damn, it's a roll! Show me your fucking hand. And his hand disappeared, so I went boom! And I gave him this another shot. I put him down once before I chased him and go back to the corner. Anyway, because he was chasing the girl, long story short. I got back there, I thought he was going for a blade. I kicked him just to put him down because I thought I don't want to make him bleed because I'll be, you know, cudgelable. I'll be arrested for that. And grievous bodily harm, you know, excessive use of force. Anyway, I put him down, and by the time he hit the ground, he had his wallet in his hand. So he was trying to beg me to stop. I'm like, you motherfucker, so, you know, it don't matter how much you got, I'm gonna fucking give you a free lesson, you know, like, so that was something recent, I guess. One of the worst things that I can't really stand is one of the things I just mentioned, like violence against women, for example. That's not that common, but when it does happen, no one will get involved. And I did a video, done two videos about catching pedophiles on the train here. And there's the time that I just explained about schooling that guy out from my gym for slapping up his girl. And a couple other things that I've stood in on that I can't stand to watch because I believe that you have a duty of care. If you've got some sort of skill or power, if you want to call it that, you've got a responsibility to stop someone from becoming a victim. It doesn't mean you have to make someone else a victim, but just at least, you know, try to help someone that is a bit helpless. That's just, I don't know, I got a lot of slack for that, I got a lot of shit for that from the community in Japan of foreigners that have probably lived here like a year, that don't speak the language, that certainly don't have their own fucking business here, or know what it's like to work with police, local security, law enforcement, and the military, and have that sort of connection, yet still do their thing as I do. So I would say that my perspective is quite different, but you know, I put those videos up and a lot of people commented like, oh, you shouldn't have got involved, don't you know what it's like here? I'm like, well, check my shit out, I've been here for a fucking long time. Me personally, I'm not gonna let that shit happen in front of me. So that was, I think, one of the craziest things that I can talk about, you know, publicly, that I kind of already have. But I would say living here in general, the experience of, you know, being a foreigner, I can prove, well, at one point when I was thinking about getting a loan to open up this new center, right, I could prove that I was making, let's say, when someone is in their like late 40s or 50s, right, they usually make a certain amount of money here as a salary member. Now at that time, I'd just come back from doing my TV show in the UK, I could prove that I was making 5 times what they were per month, right? I could prove that I had, was it 6 or 7 million yen in savings in one account and some others in here and there, whatever. And I still couldn't get a loan. I still couldn't get a credit card. I have to use my one from Australia. I have to use a debit card. And I think it's crazy that there's always a shinsa, like a judgment for everything here, you know. And one of the things, you know, I just had brain surgery not that long ago I told you about, and a year ago I wasn't even walking, you know, for 3 months I couldn't walk. And that was how bad it was, and I was refused treatment here. Now I paid shiminze, the local residency tax. I paid my health insurance to a high level, you know. I pay all these taxes and all these things contribute to the community with helping, as I said, local law enforcement and many other groups. Yet when I go to get treatment, they're like, no, fuck off. You should go back to where you're from. I'm like, well, I'm from here because this is where I fucking live. And this is where I pay tax and this is where I contribute to the community. And all of my business shit is in Japanese and English for those who come here that speak English from overseas, obviously. So I think one of the craziest things on a personal level like that is that you can be very successful. I'm not trying to brag or be a dick, but I've gotten somewhere in the lot, you know, finally after fucking this long. I've gotten somewhere and you will still not be accepted for, you know, certain things like that, like a loan or credit cards. So everything that I do is in cash. Everything that I do, you know, I put down the deposit. Look, when I first opened this gym, the first couple of months, I would have burnt 100 grand US. You know, just open the place up, put down mats and gym equipment, blah, blah, blah. And that was cash, you know. When I did my TV show in the UK and I come back here, I had savings because I knew that, you know, there'd be a rainy day. So, yeah, I encountered that, and I think that's probably one of the craziest things besides, you know, bullshit, violence, sexual harassment, whatever. But look, on that topic, I think that wherever you go, there's bad apples. I'm not just saying that they're doing it because they're Japanese. I mean, fuck, I've seen worse in Thailand. I've seen worse in China. I've seen fucking worse in Australia and the UK. And I've seen worse on TV in the US. So I don't know, maybe you've seen worse in Africa as well, right? So I don't like to put things out there for people to say, okay, well, those fucking Japanese, because that's not how I'm trying to, you know, put out the information either. You know, so that's one thing I just wanted to say on that. Yeah.
With the Japanese accent.
Japanese accent?
So, that's the point.
English? Like,
Nihongo, just like a Japanese.
just like Japanese?
Yeah.
But in Japanese.
In Japanese.
Right. You mean like self-introduction or just anything?
Anything, man. You can sound like a tough guy, yakuza.
まあ普通に話そうとしたらまあ11年前にこっちに来てやっぱこう今、自営業でやってやっぱこう、長くて日本に住んでてやっぱ自分から見るとここは自分のホームだっていう気持ちがあって、毎日もちろんこう日本語でその稽古そのクラス教えてて、まあ普通にどっちでもその英語でも日本語でもこう使えるね、自然に。